Good morning, students. I'm Pragati, your social science teacher, and today I'm going to start the new chapter of Civics, that is Understanding Secularism. This chapter is related to what the secularism is, how it do work, what are the factors. So we will go with the definition and the types, a complete introduction before we go through the chapter. To know it according to our book part, we need to understand, and for that I have brought an animation video for you so that you can understand in a new and innovative manner. So secularism is something in which we have right and the freedom of religion, where we can follow any kind of religion what it is, and the exact definition starts in the video. So let's start with it. Definition.
Understanding secularism. This is the preamble of Constitution of India. In this, India is said to be a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. We know that India is a secular state. This means that we have the freedom to follow our religious beliefs. There is no violation of fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution. According to the Constitution, there are three principles of secularism: establish democratic and secular systems. Religious communities should not dominate each other. The state should not enforce any particular religion, and the state should not take away religious freedom of individuals. To implement these secular principles, the Government of India works in three ways: distance, non-interference, and intervention. It uses a strategy of distancing itself from religion. This means that the Indian state is not ruled by a religious group, and nor does it support any one religion. The second way is non-interference. This means that in order to respect the sentiments of all religions and not interfere with religious practices, the state makes certain exceptions for particular religious communities. The third way is intervention. The state is intervening in religion in order to end a social practice which creates discrimination among people. For example, the Indian Constitution has banned untouchability, which separates lower castes from upper castes of same religion. A secular society balances the needs for good citizenship without compromising an individual's need. Thus, secularism supports the fundamental rights that are intrinsic to a democracy.
Different faiths and sections of society are equal before the law, the constitution, and government policy. The second requirement is that there can be no mixing up of religion and politics. It follows, therefore, that there can be no discrimination against anyone on the basis of religion or faith, nor is there room for the hegemony of one religion of majoritarian religious sentiments and aspirations. It is in this double sense, no discrimination against anyone on the grounds of faith and separation of religion from politics, that our Constitution safeguards secularism, however imperfectly. The Indian Constitution allows individuals the freedom to live by their religious beliefs and practices as they interpret these. In keeping with this idea of religious freedom for all, India also adopted a strategy of separating the power of religion and the power of the significance of secularism. Secularism is the backbone of a democratic country. It is must for a country to function democratically. Almost all countries of the world may have more than one religious group living in them. Within these religious groups, there will most likely be one group that is in a majority. If this majority religious group has access to state power, then it could quite easily use this power and financial resources to discriminate against and persecute persons of other religions. This tyranny of the majority could result in the discrimination, coercion, and at times even the killing of religious minorities. The majority could quite easily prevent minorities from practicing their religion. Any form of domination based on religion is in violation with the rights that a democratic society guarantees to each and every citizen irrespective of their religion. Therefore, the tyranny of the majority and the violation of fundamental rights that can result is one reason why it is important to separate the state and religion in democratic societies. Another reason that it is important to separate religion from the state in democratic societies is because we also need to protect the freedom of individuals to exit from their religion, embrace another religion, or have the freedom to interpret religious teachings differently. Trivia: with the 42nd Amendment of the Constitution of India enacted in 1976, the preamble of the Constitution asserted that India is a secular nation. Secularism in India. According to Constitution, India is a secular state where everybody is free to adopt any religion. No religious community dominates another. All the members of a particular community are equal. The state does not enforce any particular religion nor take away the religious freedom of individuals. There are various ways to prevent the above domination. First of all, India uses a strategy of distancing itself from religion. The Indian state is neither ruled by a religious group nor it supports any one religion. To implement this, government spaces like law courts, police stations, government schools and offices are not supported to display or promote any one religion in India. The another way in which Indian secularism works to prevent the above domination is through a strategy of non-interference. It means that in order to respect the sentiments of all religions and not interfere with religious practices, India has made certain exceptions for particular religious communities. The Indian Constitution guarantees fundamental rights that are based on these secular principles. However, it does not mean to say that there is no violation of these rights in Indian society. Indeed, it is precisely because such violations happen frequently that we need a constitutional mechanism to prevent them from happening. The knowledge that such rights exist makes us sensitive to their violations. It also enables us to take action when these violations take place. Changes in the Constitution. Our Constitution was prepared by the Constituent Assembly, which had representatives from different communities. The Constitution was brought into force on 26 January 1950. Since then, many things have changed in India. The Constitution too has to adapt to these changes. As a result, it has to be amended. A process whereby a change can be brought about in the Constitution is mentioned in the Constitution itself. Changes in the Constitution are made through a process called amendment. Trivia: the Constitution was put into force on 26 January because at the Lahore session of the Indian National Congress in 1929, 26 January was declared as the day of Purna Swaraj. Since then, the day has been celebrated every year as Independence Day since 1950. Until 1950. Laws and dissent. Laws are always good because they are aimed at the welfare of the people. Though the legislature is elected by the people, it does not mean that all laws passed by are in the interest of the people. So, there is always a spirit of dissent underlying a bad law. During the British rule, several unjust laws were passed by the government. For example, the Vernacular Press Act tried to put restrictions on the vernacular press and newspapers. Similarly, British, in order to establish their monopoly, imposed a salt tax in India which dictated that the sale and production of salt by anyone but the British government was a criminal offence punishable by law. The burden of this tax fell upon the poor people. In order to violate the salt law, Gandhiji started the famous Dandi March in 1930 from his ashram at Sabarmati. He had made salt from sea water at Dandi and violated the salt law. At his call, people began to defy laws and orders of the government. There were hartals, strikes and demonstrations all over the country. This was the beginning of the civil disobedience movement. The right to express disagreement with a widely held view is permitted in a democratic country. In fact, dissent is a part and parcel of a democracy. That is why the opposition parties exist in every democratic country. Another example of dissent is anti-liquor campaign. Consumption of alcohol is a major social problem. Instead of improving their living standards, people spend their money on liquor. It leads to violence and other anti-social activities. In order to curb it, the government has included prohibition of liquor as a part of the directive principles of state policy. Some states like Gujarat have imposed prohibition of liquor in their state. However, passing of a law does not necessarily mean that issues related to it are realized. Society should take a strong stand on such socially relevant issues. The role of media is also important in arousing public consciousness. The Government of India has passed several laws against dowry, untouchability and similar other ill practices. But this does not mean that the acts are always effective. The ideals before our nation can only be realized if the vision of a strong and united India is engraved in the hearts of all Indians.
So this was the introductory part. Thank you, students.